I'd like to call SGWASA board meeting to order May 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Everybody welcome. Thank you for coming in. And Crystal, can you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner McLean,
Present.
Commissioner Kuczynski,
Present.
Councilperson Daniels,
Present.
Councilperson Lane,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilkins,
Present.
Commissioner Gooch,
Present.
Commissioner May.
Present.
All are accounted for.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And invocation by Russ May.
Okay, please pray. Dear God, thank you so much for all that you do for us every day. Thank you for your son, Jesus, and his blessed assurance, Lord, and his resurrection and his love for us, mercy and grace he provides us. Thank you for everything you do for our community, for our state and our country. Protect those tonight, Lord, that are looking after us, both in the world and locally, and Lord, and look after them and their families, our law enforcement officers, our EMS, our firefighters, our service members, Lord. Thank you so much for them and what they do for us each and every day to make sure that they provide a blanket of security and protection around us, Lord, and I'm thankful for that. I pray for our leaders, both nationally and locally, Lord, that you'll give them the grace and the guidance that they need to make the right decisions for all the people. We'll look at this board as we make decisions, Lord, that are determining things in regards to a very basic substance, water, and how we can provide that to our local citizenry here to the best of our ability. And the difficulties that the board has faced and the difficulties that our communities face regarding that tough subject matter, Lord, that you will continue to bless and continue to guide and provide the wisdom that's necessary for Mr. Schroyer and this board that makes those decisions. Thank you now, Lord, in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And pledge of allegiance by
Now stand
Mayor.
for pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, conflict of interest declaration. Anybody?
Yes, sir.
No.
None. All right. Adjustments approval to the meeting agenda. Any adjustments? Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Review and approval of the April 14th, 2026 board meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. I have one in front of me now. It will be Fred Johnson. If you would come forward and state your name and address, please.
Yes. Fred Johnson, 311 9th Street in Butner. I'll be very brief. I came over today to ask what is going on. I live in the neighborhood of that where they dropped the big cement things for the sewer plant, the sewer thing, and they came around and put up signs, and all of a sudden they disappeared. So everybody in the neighborhood's trying to figure out, are they finished dynamiting? Are they not finished? And if at all possible, even when I look at this, you would never know there was anything going on in our neighborhood under, I guess we're in Project 2? Okay. And then when I went on the Butner when I went on the Butner side, I figured maybe they might know something. They knew less. Let me read you what's on the Butner website. South Granville Water and Sewer has begun work on the I-85 Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project, a large-scale utility infrastructure project taking place in southern Granville County, including areas near the town of Butner. Now, I live in the town of Butner, and you're right down the street. So can someone put something out to explain to everybody in the neighborhood what process you're at, and are we done the dynamiting since they moved all the signs away, or are we not, and what's the timeline? That's all I'm asking. Just some information. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to
Yes, sir.
comment on that?
Yes,
Well, thank you for your questions. We greatly appreciate that. So you will see on screen, if you visit our website, SGWASA.org, that we have a specific page for SGWASA.org I-85 project. And if you haven't had the opportunity to visit that, we'd appreciate that you would, or anyone else in the public would do that. And you get look ahead as far as construction activities. You get a daily blast, no pun intended, of what's going on in the area. And you also can sign up for construction alerts that will come out to you that any time that there's an alert as far as what we're doing with the project, whether it's in your neighborhood or else in the project, it keeps everyone up to date. So it's a great source of information. We all rely on that. So if we can get you to that location, that would be great. Secondly, the blasting on 8th Street where we started back in April, we got about a quarter way up the street, if you will. And then there were some concerns with the location or the proximity of the gas line on that street. And we halted that portion of the project just to have discussions with the gas company to make sure that we're all in the green, if you will, as far as moving forward. So we halted that. I was on that street today just to let the board know. It's still kind of some rough gravel. There's still some road closed signs around the neighborhood. So it's a little bit confusing. So we can get that cleaned up. But our intention is to very shortly come back to that project site and continue up 8th Street and then move up the other streets up the way in the project. Just for a broad overview, because of this delay on 8th Street for us, the contractors moved to other locations within the project just to keep the project up to date in that. So we're still making great progress. So I hope that I've answered this gentleman's question and also pointed him to a website for our public to gain some great information that we put out there. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that opportunity.
Thank you. Board discussion items. I don't see any on the page. Does anybody have any? We'll move on. National Public Works Week proclamation. So it says, as we celebrate the 2026 American Public Works Association National Public Works Week from May 17th to May 23rd, it is essential to recognize the invaluable contributions of the South Granville Water and Sewer Authority employees. This week serves as a dedicated time to honor the hard work and dedication of public works professionals who ensure the seamless operation of our community's infrastructure. The employees of SGWASA play a critical role in maintaining and improving the water and sewer systems that are fundamental to the health, safety, and quality of life for residents in South Granville County. Their expertise and commitment to excellence ensure that our water is clean and safe, our sewer system is efficient, and our environment is protected. By acknowledging their efforts during National Public Works Week, we not only express our gratitude, but also highlight the importance of their work in sustaining the well-being of our community. Let us take the opportunity to celebrate the SGWASA employees and their unwavering dedication to public service. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and public health, our quality of life and well-being of customers served by the South Granville Water and Sewer Authority. And whereas the infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essentials for other citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children served by the South Granville Water and Sewer Authority to gain knowledge of and maintain on an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it now. Resolved, I, Kenneth McLam, Town and STEM Commissioner, SGWASA Board Chair, do hereby proclaim May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge the citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the proclamation to honor National Public Works Week.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And passes. Great job, thank y'all. And proposed 26-27 budget review. I'm guessing this is gonna be you, Mr. Sawyer.
That is correct. Thank you. Good evening, board members. Happy to discuss with you agenda item 10 this evening, which is a review of our proposed FY 26-27 budget, which begins on page 25 of your meeting agenda this evening. We made some extra copies of the budget and also the rates and fees available on the table outside of the auditorium here so that those in the audience can have a copy as long, but you can also see we'll scroll on screen. I'm going to make it short and sweet as much as I can, but be prepared to answer any questions that the board has regarding our budget. I will read the budget executive summary for the board, and then I will do a recommendation to the board as well. Following that, Mr. Chair, we'd like to read the budget ordinance basically into the meeting, similar to how we did it at the last board meeting via a video. Following that, we will toss it back to or ask the board to follow up with any discussion that they have regarding the budget, any questions, and we have team members here this evening to be able to respond to any questions the board may have. Following that, there will be a roll call vote on the budget ordinance should the board want to move in that direction. And then finally, some business after the meeting. We'll have you sign the ordinance for us just so that we have it official. So if you're okay with that schedule, I'll continue.
Yes, sir.
So in terms of the overall budget executive summary, the FY 2026-27 proposed budget is balanced, holds current customer rates, and strengthens SGWASA's long-term financial position by funding 84% of depreciation and supporting key operational needs. Rising insurance, benefits, and other costs are managed through modest revenue growth and a one-time $221,511 use of operating fund balance. Looking ahead, SGWASA anticipates $25 to $30 million in expense in the PFAS treatment investments. And while external funding will be pursued, some local funding will be required, likely necessitating gradual multi-year rate adjustments. Overall, the budget reflects the board's priorities of financial stewardship, reliability, transparency, and readiness for major regulatory and capital needs. Part of this agenda item includes two attachments. Exhibit A is the proposed budget book, including schedule of rates, fees, and charges. And Exhibit B is the organizational chart showing you the current and proposed organizational charts that are associated with this budget. As far as the recommendation, I'm recommending the SGWASA Board of Directors approve the proposed FY 2026-27 budget, including the FY 26-27 schedule of rates, fees, and charges, and the FY 2026-27 organizational chart as presented. At this point, we would like to prepare to have the budget ordinance read, which actually starts on page 34 as well. So I'll ask the board secretary when she's ready to go ahead and launch that for us.
This is a presentation of the annual budget ordinance for fiscal year 2026 through 2027 for the South Granville Water and Sewer Authority. It is estimated that the following revenues will be available in the Water and Sewer Fund for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. In comparison to the approved fiscal year 25-26 budget, fiscal year 26-27 water sales and sewer use charges were estimated using a revenue increase of $150,000 for water, a revenue increase of $200,000 for sewer, and $75,900 for capital. Revenues are reported as follows. Water revenues, $6,650,000. Wastewater revenues, $9,750,000. Non-billing revenue, $614,500. Interest income, $650,000. The total appropriated transfer amount from the fund balance is reported at $221,511, with revenues totaling $17,886,011. The following amounts are hereby appropriated in the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Expenditures reported by department. Administration, Department 7110, $855,516. Finance, Department 7112, $546,680. Human Resources, Department 7114, $159,089. Public Information Officer, Department 7116, $134,242. Engineering, Department 7118, $520,563. Billing and Collections, Department 7120, $511,874. Water Treatment Plant, Department 7133, $2,376,701. Wastewater Treatment, Department 7145, $2,827,420. Utilities, Meter Reading, Department 7136, $175,772. Waterline Maintenance, Department 7139, $1,095,048. Sewer Line Maintenance, Department 7140, $1,109,227. Pump Stations and Towers, Department 8000, $948,383. Depreciation Board Other, Department 7200, $3,206,361. Projects and Studies, Department 7300, $3,500. Debt Service, Department 7500, $3,415,635, with total expenditures being reported at $17,886,011. The grand totals of estimated revenues and other financing sources and expenditures, as well as other financing uses for all funds for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, are shown on screen, with revenues reporting at $17,886,011 and expenditures balanced at $17,886,011. The Executive Director shall have the authority to reallocate appropriations between line items except for salary and benefits within a department up to a maximum of $10,000. Such reappropriations must be recorded like other appropriations and reported quarterly at a Board of Directors meeting after the funds are moved. All transfers must be in accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes. The Executive Director shall not have any authority to appropriate fund balance or to increase total appropriations. The Finance Director shall establish and maintain all financial records which are in accordance with this ordinance and in accordance with appropriate state statutes of the state of North Carolina. Visit SGWASA.org for more.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now that we've read that into the record, we'd like to welcome any questions or comments for discussion that the board may have.
So I have a question before we take a vote on this, again, about the insurance-related cost increases. And I want to just double check. I know that we didn't have a final number on the workers' compensation premiums And it says an 86% increase. And I wanted to find out if we're still at 86% or if it's gone down.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. If I may, I'd like to have the Finance Director, Richard Bowman, approach to the podium. So I think that you're referencing page 31 in our
Yes.
agenda this evening, under the, let's see, operating expenses and capital outlay, subtitle insurance-related cost increases, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Richard, good evening.
Good evening. So the workers' comp 86% increase is comparing the 43,000 budget for 25-26 current year to the 80,000 that was expected according to the agent and the benefit provider in the budget. We just got renewal on workers' comp on Friday, and tentatively it is set right now at 66,342, well below the 80,000. The increase has really occurred over 2 years, including the chunk of it this fiscal year. So if you'll recall, we did a budget amendment. So in the current fiscal year, 25-26, we budgeted 43. It came in at $62,098, and we had to do basically a $20,000 BA. So 20% increase fell in this year. So the 86 is kind of cumulative of the 2 years. So if you look at the 62 that we had this year, the 66,000 that we're expecting for next year now with that renewal notice, that's about a 7% increase for the current year. So the combination of the 2 years is really about 27%. The 86,000, the 86% is really because in 24-25, we were at 60,000. Then we were projected to drop to 43,000 this current year because the mod rate went down. We had one large claim that dropped off after the workers' comp period. But then that was offset by payroll exposure. So payroll went up.
Okay.
So it came in much higher than they had. We were expecting a significant decline in premiums. We actually saw an increase in premiums, and that's where you get the 86%.
Thank you.
Okay?
Do I hear a motion to approve the budget as reviewed?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All that agree with this, say aye.
Roll
Sorry,
call
Crystal.
vote. It's okay. Commissioner Kaczynski,
Yes.
Commissioner McGlam,
Yes.
Councilperson Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Councilperson Daniels.
Yes.
I have 7 votes yes.
Fantastic. And you wanted to also include in this 2 other items, correct?
Yes, so as far as the budget packet itself, thank you, Commissioner. I'll just turn back to page 25 of your agenda. If you see my recommendation at the bottom of the page, you'll notice that this budget also includes the schedule of rates, fees, and charges, as well as the proposed organizational chart change. So in terms of an overall motion that is offered, we'd like a motion to include not only the budget, but also the schedule of rates, fees, and charges and the organizational chart as presented. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Let's do a roll call for that as well, Crystal.
Commissioner McGlam,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaczynski,
Yes.
Councilperson Daniels,
Yes.
Councilperson Lane,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner May.
Yes.
I have 7 votes yes as well.
Great. Next on the agenda is write-off of accounts receivable. And that's back to the money man.
All numbers tonight. Doing old school, so get your number 2 pencils and your Texas Instrument calculator and we'll be good. All right, we got a couple of items that should be easy and fast. This one is information only. So we have a write-off policy. Basically, of course, general statutes allow us to fix and revise fees, rates, and schedules and collect those fees, rates, and schedules. We utilize the North Carolina Debt Set-Off Program as permitted by North Carolina General Statutes, Chapter 105A, to collect debt, bad debt. And that was a resolution passed by the board on April 11th, 2006. And then on April 25th of 2011, the SGWASA Finance Committee approved a write-off procedure basically to purge uncollectible debt that was deemed as de minimis or other categories that are uncollectible from accounts receivable. This just keeps our accounts receivable clean. And each year, that resolution says each year we'll bring that number to the board, the details of that number to the board, no action is required. So that's what we're doing tonight. Basically, just to summarize, there's 5 basic categories that uncollectible debt in that policy is deemed: bankruptcy, where we're legally not allowed to collect the debt; deceased, and the estate has been closed; court refuses judgment, we haven't had any of those; untraceable is when you have some of the older customers that come from the DHHS that didn't have social security numbers on record, so we have no way of collecting the debt. It's also corporations that maybe become defunct and you can't collect against that corporation. And that's usually the larger of our write-offs, you'll see in a minute. And then de minimis, that's deemed anything $5 or less, that it's not worth. And $50 is the minimum to put it in North Carolina debt sale. So anything under $50 you can't collect through that method anyway. You have to wait and see if they come back after 90 days. So next steps, following board notification, the finance staff will proceed with processing the write-offs for fiscal year 25-26 before June 30th of this year to help close out the year. Again, it's informational only. The financial part of this, it will reduce the authority's total accounts receivable balance by $4,468.85, as reflected in the table. Due to the new financial software, we did not do write-offs last year. If you recall, we were implementing the new financial software at this time last year. So this number really represents 2 years of write-offs cumulative. In the categories, there's one bankruptcy account, $443.94. There were 9 deceased customers, $2,353.17. 12 untraceable commercial accounts, which totaled $1,669.67. One de minimis account, $2.07, for a total of $4,468.85. You've got a copy of the internal write-off policy and procedure in your book. The strategic plan, of course, this is to maintain a safe, reliable, and sustainable water system and sewer system by keeping financial and operational components and maintaining efficient operations. Again, it's information only, but if there's any questions, I'll try to answer those.
So Richard, did we not do write-offs last year?
No, we did not.
Okay,
This is 2 years.
yeah. Okay.
Is that, that number for 2 years, that seems awful low.
Thank you. We hope it is low. We try to keep it low. That's not a representation of our total bad debt, if you will, that's not collected yet.
Okay.
That's quite a much larger number, but these are we purged them. We will never be able to collect them. The other stays on the books, stays in debt set off, and then if quite often customers will relocate back to the area. Sometimes it's several years in advance, and we do have in the policy that if you have an outstanding old debt, you must satisfy that debt before opening a new account. So that's how, between that and debt set off, that's how we collect most of our bad debt.
Just curious, what is the actual total of bad debt?
I'll have to email you that number. I did not come prepared with that
Is it
number.
considerable or?
I'll be glad to email the board with that.
That's okay. It's just, I saw that number and it's just.
It increases, I can tell you from doing the monthly reconciliations, I usually don't look at the total until you're in when we're reconciling it through audit. So that's why it's not in my head right now, but I do look at the monthly change from month to month as I'm doing the financial statements before I send out the board's copy of the financials. And it usually ranges around $3,500 increase per month. But then this time of year it drops substantially because people are filing tax returns. North Carolina debt set-off hits those tax returns.
Oh, okay.
So most of our collections through debt set-off, I'd say 95% of our collections through debt set-off occur between January 1st and April 30th.
Okay, thank you.
So we do see in April a significant decline in that number every year. Any other questions on that? All right, we'll move on to the quarterly presentation. All good numbers, so there's not too many bad questions today.
Yeah, excuse me, it's while the board secretary just left, we'll just have, Chris, you want to scroll through that for us, the presentation? Or would you like me to do that? Yeah, just that
Do you want
Priscilla.
to recess?
Yeah, the HR manager just go out and check on her, so we can just continue with the presentation if that's okay with the board.
Great with me,
Okay.
as long as you're good with it.
No Paul's ready to go.
Let him get to it on the screen.
Excuse me, I'll get my water bottle ready.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're,
Yep. You ready, Adam? Yep, thank you. Go ahead and advance it to the first one.
so basically, as the board knows, we do quarterly presentations at the end of each quarter, except for the fourth quarter. We waived that one because the auditor comes usually in September, October, and does a year-end closeout, and that suffices for the fourth quarter. So this is the third real quarter of presentations, which represents year-to-date, and the quarter being January through March of 2026. So just as we're in May, but just keep in mind as we go through, these numbers represent through March 31st. I will have some commentary on more current, because we are getting ready to close year end, so there's a lot of analysis in April and May before we send out financial statements. The presentation is very similar to prior presentations. Section 1 is going to be revenue, 2 is going to be fund balance, 3 will be the internally approved budget amendments, 4 will be your expenses by department, 5 will be I-85 system project, 6 will be fund balance, and then there's a 7th one that's not on that slide. We added a financial summary this year, which is just a total expenses and revenues. You'll see that's a one slide summary of the whole presentation. Okay, we'll jump right into water revenue. Budget currently is still sitting at $6.5 million as it was in the original ordinance. You'll see the various quarters there. Remember, revenues, we want to be 75% or higher by the end of the third quarter. You'll see that water revenue is at 78% to date, which is significantly higher than we expected, 3%. We are expecting to bring in, I think I've been bringing this forward in each of the quarterly presentations. I'm projecting that we're going to bring in a budget amendment in June to adjust revenues, which we do pretty much every year, for about $200,000. So that's good news. Next slide, sewer revenue. Sewer revenue was budgeted at $9,550,000. You see the various quarters are pretty consistent, right around 2.5.
Richard, excuse me, Mr. Chair, there seems to be some continuity issues between the budget and your presentation this evening. It looks like the slides in the budget are quarter 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you said 78, I was waiting till it says 53
So-
on the water revenue.
And this one
Can
says
you pull it up from
50%
teams?
up here,
Because one team is
75%
current
down.
year.
So I provided the board with a printout of the proper information here. So you do have the exact information. We just don't have
Got
a
it.
line
I
in
see
our
the 78,
book.
I see it.
So,
If you can pull it up in teams,
okay, sure.
that's the one that
Okay.
was supposed to be on the agenda.
Let's see if I can find it.
Excuse me. Do you want to proceed with the book, or do you want to wait till we get that on the screen?
That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Chair, would you like to wait until we have it on the screen, or would you like Richard to proceed with it since you have the information in front of you?
Yeah.
All right, the board should let it roll.
I got this. So,
Yeah, we got a copy.
we have a copy. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Could you use the overhead camera?
I can't, because it's in the book, it's not in,
You set the book down and that camera
Oh.
picks up.
I don't know.
Where's the camera?
You set it on that desk right there, and the camera will pick it up.
Camera's not
I
wow.
can't tell you how to turn it on.
I can't, again, I've
I
never
just
used
know
it.
it works.
Yeah, I remember they used it years ago. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it used in recent years.
We're good though.
Okay, continue on. And then, of course, we'll have a question section at the end, so by the end, maybe we'll have slides on the screen. We can backtrack if we need to. Sewer revenue, we'll go back to that and start over on that. $9,550,000 is the budget. Year to date, it's already at almost $7.5 million. We're at 78% right there too. We're expecting a June budget amendment for $300,000 increase. Non-billing revenue. Non-billing revenue, as a reminder, is a combination of most of your fees, your late fees, non-payment fees, connect fees, tap fees, service fees, engineering fees, and miscellaneous revenue. We budget that number conservatively every year because those fees can fluctuate pretty wildly month to month. So we stay on the conservative side with those fees every year budget. You'll see the budget was $584,500, and you'll see so far year to date we're at $391,929, 67%. Now that one's below our 75% goal. Why is that? I think I've mentioned in previous presentations, and we'll cover it in the end in the summary, but one revenue source in that department is running low, and that is tap and connection fees. They're running at 17%. So we're expecting that we're gonna have probably a budget amendment next month for a reduction of 177,000. We just haven't had as many homes coming online with tap fees as originally projected. There's one other item in there called a cost share. That's new this year, and that is where developers are sharing the cost with SGWASA for certain taps, and we don't have any revenue against that thus far. So that's going to be a reduction of 56,000. So that's why that one's running below. Interest income. Interest income is one we've been talking about for 2 years. As you know, the Federal Reserve has not reduced the rates like they had projected they were a year ago when we were talking about this budget. So the budget was $850,000. Another factor in that is we have not spent down. Remember, we're going to have to spend about $7 million to get the USDA I-85 part. We have to spend that before we start using their money. We had originally anticipated that we would be spending some of that in this fiscal year. That has not occurred. Now it's projected to start in the fall of 26, which would be next fiscal year. So you'll see year-to-date revenue there, $934,794, 110%. We've already received through the third quarter 100%, 110% of what we had budgeted. So we're expecting a budget amendment in June for $350,000 in interest revenue. Interest income on the BAM, that's the bond anticipation note. Okay, and I think we're back on line with the screen.
Sure are, thank you.
Okay, so remember the bond anticipation note was closed, became a note in November 2025. So of course you see zero first quarter, and then you see the second and third quarter. Interest income, to date, that's $238,027. And current projections are that we will have about $450,000 in interest revenue. You see there's no budget, because at the time we did the budget last year, there was no bond anticipation note on the horizon, so we didn't budget for it. One other note about that, accrued interest expense is going to exceed the $450,000. So the accrued interest through June 30th is projected to be $800,000 that we're going to owe. So you'll have $450,000 in earnings, pay out $800,000. So we'll have a deficit of about $350,000 there. So you'll see that in the June budget amendment when I book both. System development fees. Just as a reminder, there's a note at the top that they are required to be assigned to a specific capital project each year by resolution. That's a general statute change, I guess, about 6 years ago when they changed allocation fees and called them SDFs. So there'll be a budget amendment coming in June to budget these. Then there'll be a resolution coming in July once we've gotten through June 30th and we have know exactly how many SDFs were collected. You'll have a resolution to earmark those for a specific project. Past 2 years, you have designated them toward the I-85 project.
Will we get that monthly or will we get that quarterly? STF report? 'Cause you
You'll get an SDS resolution once a year,
Okay,
and that'll be your annual designation for that
Okay.
year. So you'll have it in July, but it will be for the 25-26 collections.
okay.
And you'll see each quarter there, we are up to $112,858. We do not budget SDFs so that they don't skew our operating budget, since they are not allowed to be used for operating expenses.
So what fund do they go into?
They go into the CIP, designated CIP fund balance line. You'll see that as part of our designation at year end.
Or will they go into I-85?
That's what he just said.
Yeah.
Last year.
So you'll have two things coming in July. You'll have a resolution to officially say 25-26 is going to be designated for this project. That can be I-85 or whatever the board chooses. And then you'll see a designation for us to move the funds from operating fund balance to
whatever.
designated fund balance. That will include that plus depreciation and other things, but it will be included in that reconciliation. Okay, that's the true revenue section. Now let's talk about fund balance. So these are in essence your budget amendments from first through third quarters that the board has approved. We won't go through them all, but you'll see that the budget ordinance, of course, started with a $1,345,076 use of fund balance. And you'll recall from approving that budget that was mainly capital outlay items. We're going to do a 1 year outlay of capital outlay from fund balance. Excuse me. And then you see the various budget amendments that you've approved through the years, through the quarters, year to date. So on your slide 2, the next page, you'll see your yellow bar. All of those budget amendments through the third quarter account for $14,630,747. And you'll see a breakdown there. Operating fund balance is being appropriated for $6,687,735. CIP fund balance $7,943,012. So it's pretty evenly divided. About $6.7 million operating fund balance. The CIP fund balance for 7.9. The bulk of that CIP fund balance, of course, is related to the I-85 project. A large chunk, $1 million of that operating fund balance is the water treatment plant filter project that the board approved spending operating fund balance for. So that's $1 million of that $6 million. Next page. These are the internal budget amendments approved by the executive director. They don't come to the board for approval, but Finance Committee instructed us that a good place to represent those would be in the quarterly presentation. You'll see that we've done 3 in quarter 3. Basically just reallocating some funds to buy some new equipment at the wastewater plant, to reallocate the existing budget to pay for tags and tax on the new vehicles that we purchased and replaced this year, and a toolbox for one of those vehicles. One note on this slide. So when the Finance Committee said a good place to put this, and we agreed with, was the quarterly presentation. That would be a perfect place because we're already presenting more approved BAs. It didn't come to my attention until I was doing this presentation that we don't bring you a fourth quarter, and you need to see the fourth quarter to comply with that guidance. So what I propose to do, unless you would like it otherwise, is we'll either put it in the June agenda, a 1-page slide information on the item, or I can email it to you at the end of the year. But I would recommend we just bring it to the board in either June or July and say, here's the fourth quarter. And that'll kind of close out the loop.
Yes, it's good.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, that is the revenues and fund balance. Any questions so far? We'll jump into expenses. Perfect. That's the right answer. Good question. See, number 2 pencils worked. You didn't have any questions?
They can't see the threat that I have sitting on a piece of paper in front of me.
Oh. I don't know what's that.
Not for me, not for me.
All right, let's jump right into expenses then. So on the expenses, you'll see that we have done some budget amendments this year. So you've got 2 blue bars for budget. You've got the original budget and the original ordinance, and you've got the budget as it sat amended on March 31st of this year. So we'll stick to the amended budget because that's what's applicable now. So the budget for this department is amended at $1,360,217. You'll see the quarters have been fairly consistent. To date, we've expended $833,676, 61% of that department. That's well below our 75%. 2 notes to make in that department about why that's well below the 75%. We have 2 line items in there that are variable. When I say variable, they're budgeted, but they may not be expended on an even pace. Those 2 are professional services or PFAS. That's sitting at about 26% expended for the year. And professional services, legal and other, that's at about 50%. But one note on the legal services, the invoicing is a little behind on there. So that's not truly invoicing through March. Next slide, human resources. Human resources, as you can see, is a much smaller department. It's $176,682. You'll see the quarters have been evenly divided right between 30 and 36,000. And to date, we're at 99,407, 56%. Again, there's some professional services in that department that are sitting between 35 and 40%. Those are related to employment advertising, pre-screening, drug testing, and benefit enrollments. And of course, they depend on vacancy rates and so forth. So they may speed up in the fourth quarter. Next slide is engineering. You see the amended budget is 705,569. You'll see that the expenditures through the year have increased slightly each quarter, but we're only at 329,543, 47% to date. That is very much like the admin department in that there's an engineering budget out there that's budgeted. It's kind of a general engineering budget. It's sitting at 62%. But the major factor we talked about in the revenues, there's a cost share where the developer pays maybe 40% of a project, and then we absorb maybe the other 60%. Well, the expenses for this department sitting there for cost share have not been expended at all, just like we haven't received any developer. So both of them are sitting at zero. So that's why that one is much lower than the 75%. Next slide. Next slide's filling in collections. The budget for that is amended to 578,955. Quarters are fairly even. So year to date, 363, 562, 63%. Next slide, water treatment. Budget is at 2,697,891. Year to date is sitting at 1,468,756. We're at 54%. We'll explain a little bit about that one. So we have a large R&M project that was in the original budget for clearing sludge out of a basin. That was done, that project was done, but it was done using existing sludge hauling budget, which is a normal recurring expense. There was enough cushion there, apparently, when they started hauling, they didn't need as much in the day-to-day hauling. So that was used for this project. So you'll see in the June budget amendment, we're going to unappropriate $63,970 that was in the budget for that. So that's a major factor in skewing that number down to 54%. Two other line items in there haven't been as high as expected, and that one of them is chemicals. Chemicals is very volatile, and of course it's tied to fuel rates, so we may see next year the opposite true. It may be much higher next year than budget. This year right now it's coming in at about 68% at the end of the quarter versus 75%. And electricity is sitting at about 57%, so that's much lower than the 75%. Those are the two that are skewing that down. Electricity, if you recall last year, Duke Energy had sent a notice that they were going to increase electrical costs, but I think there was some hindrances to that thus far, so we haven't seen that notification come true yet. Next slide. Wastewater treatment. The budget amended for this department is $2,757,894. You'll see we've expended to date $1,586,563, 58%. Same two are true for this department. This is the two of the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant, if you'll recall, there's three large line items in there other than paying benefits: chemicals, electricity, and sludge hauling. The chemicals in that department is 56% at the end of the quarter. Electricity, again, just like water plant, 55%. That's what's causing that number to be below 75. All of these things are good news. We'll certainly be glad that costs haven't escalated as much as we had thought. Next slide. The utility maintenance department, as a reminder, that's multiple departments. That's the meter reading, water line maintenance, sewer line maintenance, pump station, and tower maintenance. So in essence, in the general ledger, is 4 true departments rolled into utility maintenance. The budget for all of those is $4,364,621. Spent to date, $2,312,598, 53%. The reason that's at 53%, there's 2 capital outlay projects that were, there's some capital outlay items that you approved. A tractor, I believe, was last month you approved or a month before, that have been delivered since the third quarter. So you'll see by the fourth quarter that's caught up. Next slide, the board department. Look at there. Your department's at 75%. So the amended budget is $2,817,292. This is a very small department, other than Board-related items, the large chunks of money in this department are your depreciation expense, which for this current year is 2.5 million, and your property and liability and workers' comp insurance sit in this department. So those are your large items. You'll see that today we've spent 2,122,767, right at the 75%. I will make a note on that slide, and we'll cover it in the first quarter of next year. But with the new software, we finally finished the last part of the financial software last week, which is fixed assets. That module, the new software will book depreciation once a year. So I'll have a disclaimer in upcoming years, and I may change the slide to exclude the depreciation since it's going to be booked at the end of the year, and just have it as true expenses. Next slide. Projects and studies. Now this department's all over the place. We talk about this every quarter. So we have an amended budget of $78,483,000. You'll see the quarters way down that low. Don't get excited. It's those projects. It just depends on when they progress. So we're only at $12,170,000. Now it hurts my feelings to say only at $12 million because I like keeping the other $60 million in the bank. But we're at 16%. But of course, that's because the large projects, especially I-85, it's going to be a 2-year thing. So you would hope that's not at 75% when it's not going to be completed for 2 more years. Next slide. Debt service. Debt service is very similar. The budget is $3,741,235. You'll see we've only expended 37%, which is $1,367,373. That's because, as a reminder, the DNR debt always comes due in May, so it's after your March 31st deadline. USDA always comes due June 1st. So that's why this number is at 37%. Your largest debts haven't been paid by March 31st. They have been, at least the DEQ has been paid now. So if you were to look at the April 30th, right on target. Okay, next slide. That ends the expenses. Any questions on the expenses before we go into the ugly numbers with the projects? The big numbers. All right. I-85 projects. So we always, since this is such a huge impact on our financials, we've been bringing this to you for a couple of years now so that we can all keep track of where we are, where we're being, and where we're going. So you'll see the first one is funding sources. Just as a reminder, there's 3 funding sources for this project. SGWASA is going to contribute about $14 million. EWI has a grant for $35 million. USDA is going to have a loan for $35 million, which hasn't started yet. And then total funding for the project is just under $84 million as of today. And there's a small slide there telling you how the SGWASA funding is broken down. That kind of details that out. Next slide. Now the next slide takes the expenditures and says, okay, of the $84 million, where's that money being spent? We know where it's coming from on the previous slide. Where's it being spent? You'll see that roughly $2.8 million is being spent on legal land acquisition, which is pretty much completed, other than we still got some bond cost out there. It's already expended at 98%. The USDA loan, you'll see none has been expended to date. And we just talked about that. That hasn't kicked in yet. The CDM design phase, that has been completed. That's essentially complete at 100%. The CDM construction phase, where they're overseeing the construction, $836,887 has been expended, 15%. Heron construction, which is CP1 construction package, we've already almost spent $11.5 million, which is 33% of their budget. Parks construction, which began much later, of course, for CP2, is sitting at $1.5 million. Only 5% of that budget has been expended. So on the total project, 27% has been expended, $22,342,995. And I did make a note that's not on the slide. So we haven't started using the USDA money yet, we know that. We're still using the DEQ grant, which must be expended by 12/31 of this year, December 31st. There's been talk about an extension to that. But just to let you know where we stand, of the $35 million grant through the third quarter, March 31st, we've expended 21.2, 61%. We've got about $13.8 million left to spend, 39%. to be spent for December 31st. Any questions on I-85? Okay, the next slide is fairly new. I think we started this last quarter. So this gives you a historical reference to fund balance. We'll talk about the bars. There's a new bar on this one from the last quarter. We tweaked it a little bit. There's a USDA reserve required. So there's a blue bar that goes straight across the bottom and you kind of think it's underlined, but it's not. It is a USDA reserved fund for $523,745. That stays the same year after year. So that's why it's so flat and goes across the bottom. The purple line is the designated fund balance. The green line is the operating available cash. And then the red line is total available cash. And just as a reminder, when you're an enterprise fund, especially one that was configured from pieces contributing and being purchased into the system, it's more important for us to talk about available cash than historical fund balance like your municipalities and your counties do, because if you look on the balance sheet, fund balance for us is skewed. It's got your infrastructure in there that was contributed into the system. You can't spend it. So we talk about available cash. So you'll see the audited fund balances at the end of last year from the audit. We had slightly over $5 million in designated fund balance, which was about 8% up from the prior year. We had a little over $25.3 million in operating fund balance, which was down 8% for that year, for a total available cash of just under $31 million, which was a decline from the previous year of about 5%. You'll see that at the end of this year, the projections, what they're coming in at, now, the projections for 26, 27, 28, they have I-85 project cost in there. We all know from being in meetings on approving changes that that's a very fluid projection. So we'll keep that projected each quarter so that we can have the most recent and up-to-date information. But you'll see that the projections for the end of this year, CIP designated fund balance will pretty much be fully committed and gone. It will drop by about 93%, maybe have about 360,000 in there, because most of that has been committed now to I-85. Available fund balance, operating fund balance, is expected to drop to about $20 million, which is about a 21% decline from last year and an 8% decline last year from the previous year. So over 2 years, we're looking at about a 29% decline in your available cash. Same thing for total. The total available cash is expected to be just under $21 million, about a 32% decline from last year. Last year was 5% decline, so about a 37% decline over the course of 2 years. And there's a disclaimer at the bottom, but I just want to highlight that as we come to the end of the year, the audit's coming up. What you see on the audited financial statements when the auditor comes and presents it will not be these available cash balances, because they only take into account what has actually been spent, not what has been committed. Well, for purposes of this presentation, we take in what's been committed, because you don't want to have that think it's available and committed to another project when it's already committed to an existing project. So that's why on this slide, it will not necessarily mirror what you see on the audit until the projects are complete, especially I-85. Okay, any questions on fund balance? Okay, this is a new slide. Hang in there, we're almost done now. We're doing good now. This is a new slide just kind of showing you total revenues and total expenses. We looked at those in categories. How are we doing overall? You'll see that revenues, if we wanted to be at 75% for the year, we're at 77%. You've seen the detail making up that. Expenses, you want to be 75% or less, we're at 55%. So we're in really good shape this fiscal year. Next slide. Okay, so this is just a summary of everything we've talked about as we went through. Cumulative billing revenue for the year is trending as expected. We said we saw that Worcester was a little high. I'm going to have a budget amendment. Non-billing revenue for the year is trending as budgeted, but there's a couple of items that are low. We talked about tap fees and customer cost share. Interest income is trending higher than expected. That's because the interest rates have not declined as projected last year at this time, and fund balance spending for I-85 has not been expedited as fast as we thought it would. Operating fund balance appropriations for the fiscal year are significant, primarily related to the water treatment plant filter project we talked about earlier, which was $1 million, and we've committed quite a bit more money now to I-5 than originally planned. Designated CIP fund balance appropriation for the fiscal year are significant as well, and the balance is projected to be substantially expended by fiscal year end, as you saw in the previous chart. Fund balance available cash has been expended and committed significantly during the year overall. Approximately 32% of our 6/30/25 audited available cash balance is projected to be expended and are committed by the end of this fiscal year. As you saw, the departmental expenses overall were comparable to amended budget, and some running under budget, which is good. And that's questions. Easy and fast. All good and easy. Any questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
To the next page. All right, Mr. Chair, thank you. We're just going to change back to the other computer, back to the agenda. Sorry for that mistake in the agenda with the second quarter financial report, but I think that with the information you had in front of you and also the information we were able to put on screen, we were able to follow along. So, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, next on the agenda is comments from my executive director.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. Just a couple of notes this evening. I provided the board with my monthly project update report for the month of April. That report came out to you via email on the 5th of May, so just recently. And we always post that entire document on our website as well for our public to see. Just highlighting a couple of items for you this evening. In terms of our PFAS mitigation, in North Carolina State Water Infrastructure Authority approved $10.66 million in loan and grant funding to support SGWASA's PFAS treatment program. Engineering design is underway and phase 2 pilot testing is moving forward with final funding documentation pending NCDEQ's letter of intent to fund. We did receive their letter of intent to fund. I did provide the board with information on that as far as the breakdown. And I think that information also resides within the report. In terms of our I-85 sewer improvement programs, CP number 1, construction remains on schedule and within budget. CP number 2, work continues on the Southern Interceptor, and the Northern Interceptor segment remains deferred pending board review of cost and funding options. We'll have an opportunity to talk about that later this summer at a Finance Committee meeting. The water treatment plant filter media replacement project. The filter media and the nozzle replacement work is substantially complete. Our final project closeout and billing are expected this month, with the final project cost reported later this month and probably the first of next month as we move forward. Moving on to this evening's items, I want to thank the board members for your review and approvals of the items on tonight's agenda, especially our FY 2026-27 budget. I'd also like to thank SGWASA's team members for all of your hard work in preparing this budget. It takes about 9 months of the year to prepare the budget, and so getting it passed this evening is a major hurdle for all of us. Thank you very much. We look forward to starting our fiscal year budget on July 1st. And we also look forward to working with the Finance Committee members later this summer to start preparing for the fiscal year 27-28 budget. Lastly, we greatly appreciate the proclamation that was given tonight by the board to appreciate our team members for National Public Works Week. The board is very kind throughout the entire year to recognize team members for their service, especially in the wintertime when we have those water main breaks and we have team members out there. So again, on behalf of my team, thank you so much for appreciating us like that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Comments from our attorney?
Nothing this evening. Pleasure to be with everybody this evening, though.
Right. Comments from our board members? I don't have that pulled up. 87. There we go. Councilperson Tom Lane.
Okay. I'm thinking back to 2006. That far back, huh?
Telling you age
That's
now.
when we started. That's when we started comparing the budget then and the budgets now. Wow. It's the financials are well prepared. The information that we get, I think I've been impressed with. It just to see the growth in the system over these years is amazing, and I really appreciate all of the efforts of the staff as they have helped accomplish this. And I think as a staff, you should be proud of your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Vicki Daniels.
It was a lot of hard work, finance committee meetings and sharing our thoughts and setting goals the very first time at the first meeting, saying no rate increase. That was echoed almost simultaneously. And we were able to work on that. And I see all the work that was put into this presentation, and it's a lot of information, a lot of data. I'm extremely proud of our staff and our public works and everyone that took part in this. It was very impressive. And I was going to ask Crystal, was that her voice in that presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
That was so professional, Crystal.
Thank you.
That was pretty awesome. And you had everything timed, with tone and voice.
Inflection,
Yeah. It's like, I think you might need a bonus for that presentation. I'm glad this has been accomplished and approved, but when we do have our meeting, I know we're gonna have some concerns for the following year with PFAS, so I look forward to it because we need to do it. It's going to be a challenge, but I think we can work with that. And I'm so happy about the 10.66 million. That's makes you feel good knowing that you got that. So I'm happy about that, and I know that comes from Tartar. So that's much appreciated. I just want to thank you for everybody that's here tonight too. I know we don't have that many people from the public, but we do appreciate everyone that's here. So those are my comments, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Archer Wilkins.
I will echo the comments of my colleagues. Excellent presentation by everybody. I'm also happy with the $10 million. That's a great thing to have. And excellent job from everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Granville County Commissioner Jimmy Gooch.
Thank you, Chair. As Thunder Council person Tom Lane was saying, thinking back years ago, I remember going back and reading the minutes and such from meetings, the early meetings, and seeing the annual budgets back then versus now, and think about where we came from then to now. It's amazing. We've come a long way. We have a long way to go.
Yes.
The work is never ending. It continues on, and I'd like to commend our executive director Scott Schroyer for the team he's assembled here. We got a lot of good people that do a lot of hard work. I'd like to point out Richard Balmer, our finance director, always brings detailed information about the finances. You can clearly see where we stand, and I do appreciate the quarterly updates that shows where we are, what percentage we're at, and it helps us understand where the money is going. And of course, our board secretary and public information officer, Crystal Lee, thank you so much for the what you put together, the work you do on the website. The presentation tonight is top notch, and we certainly appreciate it. And I think it helps the public when they're looking at the recordings of the meetings to see what's going on and the level of transparency we use here. And thank you all. And we're in And thanks to you all, we're in pretty good financial shape for the time being, and we're in the process of replacing infrastructure. For instance, part of the I-85 project, we're replacing pipes and pump stations that were put in the late 70s, early 80s. Part of the upcoming project, it looks like we're going to be, the CP2, we're going to be replacing some lines that was put in the ground when Interstate 85 was put through here. Now, that's not 100 years ago, but it's certainly when I was young. It's certainly well over 50 years ago when that was done. So it's a lot of things that we're doing that's going to help us future generations, and we're preparing for the future. And thankfully, we're getting there. And thank you all for all the work that you put in, and thanks to all of the SGWASA employees, especially the guys out in the field that are working in the heat in the summer and the cold in the winter, and anytime, day or night, that they're called out, and especially appreciate those guys.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grambling County Commissioner Russ May.
Well, once again, stellar performance by SGWASA. And I mean that sincerely.
Thank you.
Staff, director, all just extremely professional, well-versed in topics, bringing me along and still coming along, a lot to learn. The $10 million received is exceptional. You know, a lot of people didn't think we were moving on PFAS, and there was a lot of inflammatory comments made, and people thought that there would be no progress. There's extreme progress. I can tell you that there's very few weeks in the month that don't go by that someone in Grambling County is not working on behalf of SGWASA, or someone within SGWASA is not working on behalf of SGWASA in reaching out to legislative body and our federal representatives and trying to ascertain funding. And so I'm hopeful, and I feel very confident that we'll continue to do that, and that we'll continue to see benefits of those relationships that have been forged years ago and continue to be maintained because of the vibrancy that is represented within this region of North Carolina and within this area in Grambling County that is vibrant to the continued benefit of all of North Carolina. So thank you, staff, for what you do, and thank you for the effort you put in. It doesn't go unnoticed, and much appreciated.
Thank you. SGWASA Vice Chair Georgiana Kaczynski.
Thank you. Well, it was a great presentation again tonight, as always. And I'm glad to know that the water filter meeting is done. We're going to have a report, and hopefully water quality will be better and it will be noticed by our citizens. There is no rate increase, and as the finance chair said, that was the very first thing we said at our finance committee. And I remember Miss Bailey was there, so she heard us say it. I want to thank the help we have received for the $10 million from the legislature and the DEQ. And thankful for those who do come to every one of these meetings to get the truth, to get the information firsthand, and to care enough to take time to be here. I really do appreciate every one of you. Public comments are appreciated also. Ed Gleason is out of town, or he would be here. He's got his reserved seat over there. The website, please familiarize yourself with the website. I know that our PIO, Crystal Lee, has worked extremely hard to make this website much better than it was when I started in 2019. And she has worked extremely hard to make it interesting, to make it fun, and make it extremely user-friendly. So please go out there and use it. If you have a problem with your water, please use the links that are out there to get the complaint to the people who can fix it. Because we want your water to be as perfect as it can be, And the only way for it to do that is to let us know that there is a problem and it's with you. Thank you to everybody who presented tonight. And please express our gratitude to the Public Works people. And I hope that you guys have something special planned for them this week while we celebrate Public Works Week.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to me, Richard Bowmer, you hardly ever have questions on everything you present because you present it so well. Thank you for you and your team for everything y'all do. Employees with SGWASA, thank you for everything y'all do. Y'all go above and beyond on a lot of things. Scott, you wear so many hats at times. I don't know which person you are that time I talk to you. So continue the great job you're doing as well. Thank you. The $10.66 million between grants and loans, great to hear. Hope we continue to get more and more. And that's all I have tonight. Thank y'all for everybody coming. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. All opposed? Adjourn. Thank you.